Perfect. Unmute. Good evening, everyone. Welcome so much to the Flex MBA Online event. Thank you for joining us from around the world, around the US. We're really excited for this evening. We've been planning for so many years for the launch of what is going to be the next evolution in our suite of phenomenal and highly ranked graduate programs, but the next evolution of our Flex MBA program. So over the next 2 hours, we have assembled a great group of faculty, staff, administrators, and students who are going to share a little bit about what we're excited to launch next August for our first incoming class. So to give you just an overview for this evening, we are going to be joined by our Senior Associate Dean, Prashant Malaviya, who will talk about the vision for the program. We'll have a panel of faculty members that have been teaching online. We'll have our Career Center as well as Student Program Office, and then students who will talk about their experiences in the online program. My name is Shelly Heinrich. I'm the Associate Dean of MBA Admissions. I have been here for over 8 years. It's gone by so fast. I started out my career in the corporate and then nonprofit and finally higher education sectors. But I found McDonough as my home, even doing the executive MBA here, balancing work life and a 4-year-old at the same time. So without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce Senior Associate Dean Prashant Malaviya to talk a little bit about the vision of the program. Prashant, over to you.
Thank you so much, Shelly. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it may be, in whatever time zone you are in. Welcome to this Flex Online launch event. As Shelly said, we are really excited to launch this new evolution of our Flex MBA program. And excited to share with you some of the great work that we have done over the past year and that we are going to continue doing for the rest of this academic year in preparation for our August 2023 launch, when hopefully we will welcome many of you into our program. A quick introduction about myself. I am a professor of marketing. I have been at Georgetown for over 14 years now, and for the last 7+ years, I've been in this role as the Senior Associate Dean of the MBA program. A few years ago, Shelly and the rest of my team, we launched the Flex MBA program as the evolution of our evening MBA program. And now about 5 years later, we are getting ready to launch the Flex Online program. And that's what I'm here to share some information with you about. So we started thinking about this, not surprisingly, more than a year ago. And a big catalyst in our thinking about offering an online version of our MBA program was the pandemic. The pandemic influenced many of you, I'm sure, and hope that you are all well and are recovering from it and are now thriving in the post-pandemic phase, if I may call that, although many people would argue with that. But more than just the pandemic, there were several other trends that we were observing in the marketplace that made us think about this online offering. The first was increasingly students, administrators, and academics were accepting that an online education could be high quality, could be rigorous, and could deliver the career outcomes that all of you seek. We were also observing many of our competitors, especially our local competitors in the DC, Maryland, Virginia region, introduce some version of an online program, either an MBA or some other degrees in the business school. And we were keeping a close eye on these competitive developments. But most importantly, we know that if we think ahead to the next decade or so, all of us, and in academia and even in the professional world, will need to become a lot more savvy and build capabilities around digital communication, around digital education. And so we were really looking for a way to build those internal capabilities with our faculty and with our administrators so that we can think about the future and continue to deliver the high quality education that Georgetown and the McDonough School are known for. So how did we go about developing this program? As I mentioned, we started thinking about a year ago. We put together a pretty diverse, but also a highly qualified group of faculty and administrators. There were in all 12 of us. And we spent a good part of the year looking at all kinds of data, doing our own primary research, running surveys with prospective students and our current students to understand what is it that the students are looking for. And it was very clear what students are looking for is more flexibility in their education. In fact, that was the reason we launched the Flex MBA 5 years ago. But what was now apparent was flexibility and its definition had evolved in the last 5 years. Increasingly, what flexibility was being said to us meant the ability to have the convenience of our home as a place for education, but on occasion, in a strategic way, be on campus, be immersed with other peers, and build our community as well. So essentially, the balance between where we get our education and who we get it with was changing and shifting. And so we were influenced by that finding, and the design parameters really reflect that. The other thing that we were very conscious of, and we keep this in mind in all programs that we develop at Georgetown and the McDonough School, is a set of 3 factors that are really our North Star in designing all educational experiences. One, we want to make sure students experience success on the academic front. Second, at least in the business school, we want to ensure students experience success on the career front. And third, we want to ensure that the essence of a Georgetown education with our Jesuit heritage, with our focus on business and policy and diplomacy, all of that is part of the design that we develop in all our programs. So with all that in mind, our goal really was to develop an online offering for the MBA program that was as rigorous, as high quality as our regular Flex MBA, in fact, as our regular full-time MBA program, that provided all of the support from the career perspective, and you're going to hear more about it in a few minutes from my colleague, Christy Murphy, that was able to replicate the student experience, albeit in an online virtual environment. And you're going to hear more about this from my other colleague, Carrie Pace, and she will describe that. And so, we wanted to make sure that, you get that full experience and you replicate the Georgetown programs that we have developed in the past. And so the goal was to make sure that the rigor is there, but also the career support is there, and the Georgetown unique experience is there. So it's important for me to clarify, what do we mean by a Georgetown education? Now, some of you may have gone through a Georgetown education during your undergraduate. Welcome back to the hilltop if you are one of those. But I'm sure many of you have heard about Georgetown and what we are known for. The way we think about it is that there are really 3 defining characteristics of a Georgetown and a McDonough School of Business Education. Number 1 is our location in Washington, D.C. This allows us to tap into all of the other non-market factors that influence businesses. So of course you will get a business education, but you will also be able to get an education that helps you understand the intersection of business with policy, with regulation, with law, with diplomacy. And that intersection really creates a much more rounded education for all of you. So that's factor number 1. The second factor is our presence as a business school within the broader Georgetown community. And as you know, Georgetown has several world-renowned colleges, the School of Foreign Studies, the School of Public Policy, the Law School, and those elements of the Georgetown environment allow us to invite professors and on occasion students and experts from these other colleges to help enhance the education of our business school students. The third element of a Georgetown education is our almost 250-year-old history as a Jesuit institution, the oldest Catholic institution in the US. But what does that mean in today's environment? And for us, what it means is nurturing and inspiring young minds to be principled ethical leaders who are as concerned about creating value for business as they are for creating value for society. And so with these broad principles in mind and these unique characteristics in mind, we go about designing our curriculum and the rest of our program. But let me reiterate, this combination of three elements, our presence in Washington, D.C., our presence within Georgetown University, and our Jesuit heritage, these three elements are unique to Georgetown, and literally no other institution can claim this. And this uniqueness allows us to do things that you will not be able to experience at other places. For example, one of the highlights and the hallmarks of the MBA program that you will have the opportunity to experience is a sequence of courses that are about helping you understand global businesses. So for example, we will start your program with a course that we developed about a decade ago that has been running really strong. It's called The Structure of Global Industries. It helps you understand how in a global environment and with all the global players, including global players who influence diplomacy and policy, impact your ability to run a global business. You will do this in an experiential environment where you will be part of a team, you'll be asked to run a company in a global setting, and through that medium of the experience of running a company, you will learn about what it does mean to have a global business and how to operate that. So that starts off your global education. It'll be punctuated during the rest of the curriculum with other courses, some directly, some indirectly related to global business operations, but it will culminate. The other bookend of the global curriculum is our global business experience, which is perhaps something that we are most known for, where you work on a real consulting project for a client in one of 26 different countries that we work with. And you work on that project with the client, and then you travel to this location to share your insights, your observations, and your recommendations to this business to solve some business problem that they have. You get feedback from them. You have the opportunity to be on the ground and maybe do some on the ground research with customers and clients of their client, and then make a final presentation to this company. Almost all students without fail tell us that this global business experience consulting project ends up being the highlight of their MBA at Georgetown. And hopefully it'll be for you as well. The other stream of our curriculum that I would like to highlight is our curriculum around leadership. And really, there are three main courses that you will be taking as part of our curriculum that give you the opportunity to develop yourself as a leader, to develop yourself as somebody who can manage and run a team, and ultimately, who can make valuable contributions to business and society. These three courses start off with a course early on. The first one focuses on you as an individual and your small group of team members, with the goal of helping you understand where might your biases lie, where might your inabilities to interact and engage with a small group of individuals you might want to focus on. And that way, help you create a high-functioning team environment. The second course, towards the end of your first year, focuses on you trying to persuade a larger group of individuals. It's a course on leadership communication, and it requires you to think about what makes for a persuasive argument, what makes for the ability for an individual to convince others to follow what their vision is and what they want to do in their business strategy, for example. The highlight of this course is a presentation that you make to your peers, where you are going to focus on understanding and receiving feedback from them to help you understand how do you, where do you maybe slip up and how do you improve your persuasive skills. The final sequence in the leadership curriculum is a course on ethical leadership. This has been a course that we have had from the very beginning of the MBA program. And what this course really asks you to do is to think deeply about what is it that you mean by doing good in the world. It literally asks you to define what you mean, what does doing good in the world mean to you? And then it creates the structure for you working in your team, going out and trying to do that good in the world. What happens in the process is students are forced to reflect on not only what good means to them, but what are the obstacles that we are all going to face, that we all face every day in our ability or inability sometimes to do good in the world. These are just two examples of some of the key highlights that you're going to experience, and that are a hallmark of what a Georgetown education can be like. We are hopeful that the Flex Online MBA program that you are looking at is going to deliver on these highlights of the program. We are going to have opportunities to be on campus, as you'll hear in a minute. But overall, as I mentioned, our goal is to replicate the experience in the virtual world, and our professors are ready and willing and able to do that. With that, I'll hand it back to Shelley and happily take questions towards the end of the session. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you, Dean Malaviya, for the introduction of the program. It's very exciting to be where we're at and to share more about the vision and how it came to be. So as we introduce our faculty panel, one of the things that I wanted to touch on was that, one of the things that we thought about when we introduced Flex Online was that we want to draw from the current pool of talent of our great faculty. So this is not a watered down degree, right? You are learning from some of the top faculty at McDonough who have taught online, who have taught our normal classes. And so you're going to get the same academic rigor as you would in our full-time or Flex program. Before coming to Georgetown, when I was, considering a move to Georgetown and thinking about, what the school's values were, they talked a lot about Jesuit values. And I wasn't, a Catholic coming in, but I've learned to appreciate what does it mean to be a Jesuit school and to learn in a Jesuit education environment. And one of those cornerstones is the teaching experience in the classroom. When I ended up doing the executive MBA here at Georgetown, I realized, wow, these professors want to be in the classroom. Yes, they're here to research, they're here to do all the fantastic things that contribute to the scholarship at the school, but they want to teach you as students. And we're bringing that same Jesuit philosophy into the FXO Flex Online environment. So tonight we have 4 fabulous faculty that have all taught online classes with us. FXO is not the first online graduate degree program that McDonough has offered. So we're using some of the best practices that we've learned in other degrees. And so we have 4 great faculty from different disciplines that are going to share a little bit about their highlights and how they anticipate the FXO program to go. So let me stop sharing my screen here and introduce them. So thank you all for joining us this evening. And so what I'm going to do first is have you each introduce yourself, what discipline you teach in, and the classes that you have currently taught online in the past. So maybe in the order in which I see you on my screen now, maybe I'll have Professor Pietra, Professor Lee Pinkowitz, Kirsten, and Professor Sudipta. Professor Kirsten, thank you. So if you want to introduce yourself, what discipline you teach, and what classes you've taught in the online environment.
Sure. My name's Pietra Rivoli, and I'm a professor in the strategy, economics, and public policy area. I have taught the structure of global industries course that Prashant mentioned for about 8 years now. And I've also taught a number of global residencies. During the pandemic, of course, we taught the structure of global industries online.
Hi, I'm Lee Pinkowitz. I'm an associate professor of finance at Georgetown. I've been here since 1999. I teach both our core finance course as well as a valuation elective. I've taught across multiple programs in terms of online. So certainly during the pandemic, we taught the core and valuation online, but I currently am teaching valuation in an online forum now, even to our existing MBAs. And I've taught in our MSF program, Master of Science in Finance, which is an online program.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Anderson. I teach in the accounting department, and I've been at Georgetown since 2000, so slightly less time than Lee has been here. I teach financial accounting, and I've taught at every level. I definitely taught a lot online during the pandemic for undergraduates then, but I was taught in the Master's in Finance program. I recorded all the original accounting videos that were used in the Master's in Finance program, and I taught in that program for 5 years, the core accounting class.
Hello, everyone. I am a professor of practice in the marketing area and also the academic director of the online MBA program at McDonough. I've been at Georgetown for over 2 years now and have been teaching in the online environment for almost 5 years. And so I bring in some experience from another university to this as well. So the courses that I teach are mostly in the data science and the analytics area for the MBA program, mostly in statistics and machine learning, as well as the applications of analytics in marketing. I have also taught in the MBA program during the pandemic online and have recorded all my lectures and posted them on Canvas.
Great,
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thanks. So online MBAs, they come in all different shapes and sizes. All different universities do things a little bit differently. They have different mixes of asynchronous versus synchronous. They have different time slots and different ways that it's delivered. So I'd like for maybe Kirsten, for you to define what is this asynchronous versus synchronous terms that we use. We understand it in the academic environment, but to the prospective student, those terms, we don't really know what they mean. So can you talk about the difference between asynchronous and synchronous and how both are effective in delivering an online degree?
Okay, in a nutshell, asynchronous material is material that you work with on your own without the class and the professor around you. And synchronous is material we work on as we come together as a group. If you're older like me, asynchronous material would have been reading the textbook ahead of class, maybe doing a few practice problems in a notebook with pen, pencil, paper, whatever, and then going to class where you would do synchronous work with the professor in some way. But now with technology, things have just gotten so much better for everyone that the asynchronous material can be delivered in so many good ways. We can start with the basic. Yes, you can still read a textbook if you want or if you need to for that, to learn a certain topic, etc. There's videos that you can watch. There's discussion boards that you can join in. There's practice problems that are posted on your course website. There are so many different ways for you to practice and to kind of get a foundation for the material on your own leading up to the course meeting, which would be synchronous time together. And the really nice thing about the asynchronous is you can kind of get the background done, you can kind of prep for class. And when we come together, everyone has some kind of baseline understanding of what the topic is for the week. And we can work together on practice problems, on cases, on doing more analyzing and expanding the basic textbook knowledge that you can do on your own in the asynchronous. So it's an interesting and a great way to teach all of our online options, make the asynchronous material so much better than it was when I was doing. We didn't call it asynchronous, of course, when I was in college. It was just read and take notes and then come to class kind of. But so many different options now for how we deliver both asynchronous and what we can do in the synchronous sections.
And I want to touch on one of the things that you mentioned is kind of the pre-work. So watching the pre-asynchronous and then coming to the synchronous live discussion. And, you know, I know when I was taking an accounting course through the executive MBA, there were a lot of pre-videos for accounting. And I remember watching them and rewinding and fast forwarding and rewinding and stopping and looking at the formula, you know, and going back and forth. And it I was trying to imagine if I had been sitting in class and just watching the professor go through that, I wouldn't have had the ability to rewind and stop. And so how have you felt perhaps that asynchronous gets people more quickly up to an even playing field? And so maybe Kirsten, you can answer that, or another professor. How does it help with that then synchronous class to get people?
I think you make a great point. And I think you can watch a video, you can stop. When I've done videos, and even when I do them for undergraduates, during the pandemic or now, sometimes I'll put up a video for them. I always do them in kind of small, bite-sized pieces. So you're focusing on one topic at a time. You can rewatch the video as much as you want. You can go back, you can pause, you can, send an email to the professor while you watch a video. You're like, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. And the professor can kind of have feedback immediately. Otherwise, old school, if you were in the classroom, right, the professor would just kind of lecture traditionally, plow through a lot of topics. You have an hour and 15, hour and a half, whatever you have for class time. It's not little bite-sized pieces that you can kind of chew off. And I really think that's an advantage of the videos, not just the ability to pause, rewind, ask the professor, ask a TA, etc., but also just the bite-sized pieces. And you're looking at one piece of information at a time.
Great.
Shelley, if I can, because
please.
I know we're talking about sort of an online program, but it is not necessarily the case that the asynchronous material is only used in our online programs. For instance, in my live, in our MBA, MIM, and in all the programs we teach here, I'm using asynchronous materials precisely because they do give the benefit that Kirsten just mentioned, which is you can prep for class. And when we start talking about, let's say in core finance, there are some materials or some concepts that, because there's very different backgrounds of our students, some are going to be very easy, whereas other people will view that as very difficult. And so there's really no pace that I could do in a class setting that sort of encompasses reaching everyone at the right level. I'm either going too fast or I'm going too slow for some of that stuff. And so what I can do is they can use the asynchronous material, and it's not just watching videos. I'm having them practice problems, right? And if you understand it, then you skip through it very quickly and you get to the meat, so to speak, of what we're going to be doing in the synchronous class.
Mm-hmm.
If you need more time, fine, you take more time, you go back and you kind of can do more problems, so that when we get into the synchronous session, whether it's online or live, we actually are in a better position to learn from each other and to do more, I would say, higher order thinking. So I don't think it's really, I know that people talk about asynchronous as online and synchronous as not online, but that's not true. It really is a matter of utilizing some of the best pedagogy, both in our live classes and in an online world, to get the best results.
Yeah. So it sounds like, I have a lot of prospective students that will come to me and say, look, like, I'm a liberal arts background, or like, I don't know if I can handle this. Like, this seems really challenging or difficult. It seems like the online experience perhaps could help with that, and that they are able to kind of maybe get up to the same playing field, or at least feel comfortable in a less intimidating environment going through that asynchronous material first before coming to synchronous. We're kind of digging into some of the advantages of online learning, so I would like to, kind of dig into that more. So perhaps, Professor Lee and Professor Kirsten, if you could continue to expand on some of the other advantages of online versus in person. Same, Pietra and Sudipta as well, if you want to jump in on some of the advantages you've seen, both teaching it as well as from a student perspective, learning from it.
Sure.
Go ahead, Lee.
No, please.
I think one of the advantages that I learned that was very powerful in the types of courses I teach is the ability to really take advantage of Georgetown's networks and connections in teaching in a way that you couldn't when you were teaching live. Because there are many business people, many policy experts and so forth who will join your class for an online session, but they would have no hope of, making their way physically to Georgetown. An example from the pandemic actually was, we have always taught about trade and trade policy and trade wars and trade disputes. And of course, as you all know, one of the key topics in that heading right now is the US trade relationship with China. And so during the pandemic, I was actually able to get the US trade negotiator who was actively involved in that dispute with China to come onto Zoom and talk with the students about the case we were discussing. And that's something that never would have been possible, if we were meeting in person. So I think that, and then of course we can record that, that visit as well, so that, other programs, other courses would have access to it too. So for us, I think that's a key thing, given our Georgetown networks.
The one thing I liked about when I taught in the MSF program and it was online, the big advantage is you don't have to live in Washington, D.C. to be part of this community that is Georgetown. And I met so many great people from all over, the military stationed abroad, working in California and joining our class, and they couldn't come to DC, obviously, for whatever reason, you don't want to move. I just think it just opens up so many possibilities for students to learn and to be a part of such a fantastic institution that Georgetown is. And you don't have to pick up your whole life and move to DC, but you still get all the benefits of the Georgetown education.
And that doesn't just translate to the class session. So to sort of piggyback on Pietra's point, I hold hybrid office hours, so they're both online and live. And I started bringing alums into the office hours. So during the last year and a half, I've had like 70 alums come into my office hours. So essentially, there's like coffee chats, and that's something that we could never do live. I can't call up a managing director and say, you know what I'd love for you to do? I'd like you to come down to my office and sit in my office for an hour and a half, just in case somebody shows up. That's just not going to happen, right? But I'd like you to log on at this time, right, and chat with whoever's there. They do that. They loved it. So that actually is sort of outside of the classroom setting, but it is an advantage of sort of the platform.
I would like to add to that in the MSBA program, for example, some of the students have told us that they love to go into our platform and then watch recorded videos or different types of other interactive materials many times that you can't do in an online class, right? So you can go in and repeat, and if there is a certain content that is very difficult, let's say it's very technical and you need to go back and look at it 3-4 times, then the online platform really provides that opportunity for you to do that. Similarly, there could be quizzes quizzes that are ungraded that the students can take multiple times until they can until they are able to get it right. And so so I just wanted to mention that MSBA is Master of Science in Business Analytics program, which is an 16-month online program in McDonough School of Business. We started 2 years ago.
Shelley,
you touched on something. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, what I was going to say is there's another advantage to an online platform, which Anna has just pointed out because she's asked a question, but it's really not the Q&A, it's really the chat, right? And there is a parallel communication structure in an online class that doesn't exist in a live face-to-face class, which is, think about, for those of you, think back to your last educational, setting. I'm sure there were plenty of times that you had questions that you didn't quite ask because you didn't put your hand up, or you put your hand up, but it wasn't seen, right? Well, in an online setting, you can just type those into the chat. There's now a record of this, right? First of all, that also not only would signal to an instructor that, hey, here's a potential question, and certainly we will have seen it, but you then can get this parallel communication among the students, right? Which in a live setting is actually distracting. I don't care how much you're whispering to the person next to you, but the thing is, you can only talk to the person next to you, and if you're whispering, it's still distracting. In an online setting, you can have entire kind of parallel conversations, hopefully related to what we're doing, right? That are actually adding to the value of the session as opposed to detracting from it, right? And so I know Anna has asked, is in the Q&A right now, and not necessarily in the chat, but that is one of the biggest things that we actually cannot replicate live, face to face.
Yep. Both of you have started to touch on it, so I'm gonna kind of take that and go there, which is assessment of grades, assessment of students. And so Sudipta, you talked a little about quizzes and practice quizzes. Lee, you talked about essentially what is class participation, basically. You know, if you, Sudipta, you teach in an online program now, maybe if each of you could just talk about how you assess differently, perhaps in the online versus like in an in-person.
Sudipta, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So in the MSBA program specifically, we would assess the the online students, but pretty much the same way as we would do an in-person class. Of course, the exams that you're having, you don't have that in person, you have that online, and you could have that either a proctored or an unproctored way by using Zoom quizzes, or Canvas quizzes, for example, or you could do discussion boards. So we have in a little bit around 7:50, I'm going to show you a demo where you can see all of this. So there are discussion boards where the students discuss something very similar to what Lee was talking about earlier about chats. You can put it in chats, but we may have a discussion board where students are talking about, where do you see the use of linear regression, for example, and everybody kind of talks about their experience from their particular industry or from places where they have worked on it. So that is another way in which we assess students. There could be videos that the students create on a final project, and then they share that with the faculty members and the rest of the teams, and we watch that and we grade them. There could be reports on team projects, literally pretty much the same way as we are looking at an in-person classroom. Other than your in-person exams, everything else that you can think about can happen here in this environment.
Yeah, and Shelley, you mentioned, I mean, I am a big proponent of collaborative learning, and so participation, even though it's a finance class and you guys all think of it probably as quantitative, right? It is participation is a big part of it, and there are a variety of things that in an online class or an online course I can do that's somewhat helpful. One is, I mean, certainly there's the class participation in terms of when people are talking, or did you raise a question or something. What advantage here is I actually can go back to the tape. In other words, like there are plenty of times like, oh, I remember somebody said this really great thing and I can't remember exactly who it was. It's really easy to go back and find, oh yeah, that's what this person asked, and they should get credit for this. But what we also do, at least in my course, is trying to promote participation outside of the sort of class setting, and whether it's in a discussion group or a discussion board, I actually ask, right? So in other words, several times during, like 3 times during the course, during the class, students have the ability to nominate up to 4 or 5 of their peers for people who deserve participation credit, because they might be helping you outside of the class time. I don't know that. And so that participation, those nominations count towards participation. So that's how part of the assessment works. We can see what it is that people are doing in terms of, are you interacting with the platform? Did you prep for the class? That doesn't mean did you get it right. That's not the important thing, but did you prep? When we send people into breakout rooms is another way that we can do this. Were you active in the breakout rooms? You can ask your colleagues. We can actually check. Right? There's a variety. Attendance is very easy. We don't have to take attendance, right? We basically know whether you showed up or not. So participation is actually almost easier in this framework. And then on the quantitative assessment side, the exams, right? It actually has forced us, and I'll say us in terms of in the finance area, to really have to ask more real world questions, because now we go with open note, open book exams, but that means we have to be testing higher order concepts. It's not, what is this definition? It's not, here's a number, add these two. You can do that, especially you have Excel, right? It's much more, if you were given this situation, how do you make that decision? And so it really, I think, has become more valuable, I hope, from a student perspective, because it's more real world than academic.
Pietra, I'd like to turn to you and talk a little bit about creative ways that you've delivered content or things that you may have done differently because you have technology at your fingertips. You talked a little bit about the guest speakers, but maybe you could elaborate on some other creative ways.
Well, I think related to that, it's much easier to do what you might think of as a live case. So a big part of business education is always case studies, where the idea is that a situation is described. You're given a lot of data. You're given a lot of data that maybe is extraneous. You know, you have kind of a complicated story about a company. And the goal is to apply the various frameworks that you've learned to solve a real problem. These cases are based on real companies and they have real protagonists. And in a live case, what you're able to do is actually get those protagonists, you know, to be in the room with the students. And, you know, related to my point earlier, it's not just guest speakers, but this live case, you know, setup is, of course, much easier with online. I think the other thing that is easier is actually teamwork. Okay. So if we are in a class and the most effective next step for the students learning is to break up into little teams and go off and work on something, that's pretty hard to do in a physical classroom. You know, because if you've got to find, you know, 10 or 12 different places for 4 people to go in a crowded, noisy campus, and then hope people don't get lost on their way back. But if you're in a synchronous class and you can just send people into breakout rooms, the kinds of things you can ask students to do are typically much more advanced and much more interesting because they have a focused time to just pay attention to their teammates and this problem. So I think that's kind of another, you know, another advantage. I also think, you know, it's just much easier in a synchronous class that's online to switch up activities. You know, if you think back to your college experience and you think about that hour and 15-minute class block, I mean, it was mostly a professor standing up there talking, right? You can't do that in a synchronous online class. You know, you just can't, you know, sit on a screen and talk for an hour and 15 minutes. It does not work. So you have to design creatively the activities for that hour and 15 minutes. I mean, you will be logged on for an hour and 15 minutes, but you won't be sitting there listening to me talk for an hour and 15 minutes. There are a variety of other learning activities that, you know, you can integrate into that class period.
Thank you. I'm going to ask one more question, but then leave a few minutes if anyone has Q&A. And so, right, you know, as I ask that last question, if you have some questions to ask of the professors, there is a Q&A box at the very bottom. Feel free to type those questions in. We'll get to a few of them, and then we'll try to get to the rest of them as the rest of the evening goes along. So feel free to type in your questions. But my next question is for you, Sudipta. So, you know, one of the great things about Georgetown and especially McDonough is community. People always walk away saying this was a phenomenal network community, the students, the alumni. And so we have intentionally designed this program to include residencies, in-person residencies, 3 throughout the entire program to build community. So can you talk about how you've seen this play out in the MSBA program?
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, as in any Georgetown program or McDonough program, our goal is to provide a high-touch, experiential-based learning environment. And so really what we want to do is have the students feel connected to each other and to Georgetown faculty and their peers and alumni, no matter what the mode of delivery is. and especially in the online programs. And to that end, residencies play a crucial role in creating a camaraderie between students and faculty, so much so that students feel that they are part of an in-person environment when they take classes online following a residency, or just after residency, between two residencies. So here, they would know each of their peers, they would have interacted with them in person. And so during the pandemic, I think almost everyone would have taken an online course, and we hear a diversity of experience, and especially like some of the things we have heard is, I wish I had met these people before, I knew more about them, right? And so the residencies are really, really useful for really setting up that feeling of community that you were talking about. So these residencies, according to our MSBA business analytics students, is their favorite part of the program. They allow the students to come together under one roof. They get to know each other. They network with peers, network with the industry and government, with the faculty teaching in the program. They go out and have a beer and have a good time with others and really get to know each other. So it's really a great in-person experience, so that when, like I mentioned before, when you are in an online environment, now you would know each other, you can work with each other in teams, and it's just really resembling, very similar to an in-person experience in that way. Generally, during the residencies, we would have guest speakers. We would have Q&A sessions with the alumni and the current students. You may have an industry panel experience. You may have other kinds of social activities, such as going to a baseball or a basketball game, a tour of the monuments in DC, campus tours, receptions, career sessions, team building. You can imagine it. And so these do play a great part in creating a cohesive, student experience that helps in bringing the entire cohort together, primarily, for any online courses that are in between the residencies and after the residencies.
Great, thank you. So I have, one question that was privately chatted to me, so I'll kind of end on that, which is, if a student is considering an online program, and they come into one of your classes, how can they prepare to get the most out of it? If they're choosing not to do an in-person program for work life, logistics, how can they come in and ensure that they are going to get the most out of this program to allow them to reach their goals after they graduate? So maybe a couple of you can take that.
I wouldn't mind starting this, and I'm not going to throw this back at them, but I am sort of going to do that, right? Which is immediately understanding that just because it's an online program doesn't mean it is easier or has lack of rigor, or I just log in and show up and I do that, right? That actually, it's a fundamental change in the way we sort of think of things, because it's not Netflix University, right? You're not binge watching finance. It genuinely is something where you have to be involved. You've got to be talking with your peers. You've got to come to office hours, perhaps. You've got to you got to do the asynchronous material and do the pre-class work. And I think that mindset is a little tough for people, especially, since in the pandemic, we were all working from home, and it was kind of like, well, that's just on in the background while I'm doing these things. It really is a much more involved, more active than passive mindset.
That's what I was going to say. It's not a passive program. Just because it's online, it's not watching TV. It's not just, I'll kind of halfway listen while I do something else. Like, this is in order to get what you want out of this program, you have to be like you would be in person in a live program. You have to actively pursue all the opportunities that are given to you, whether that's a way to, learn more, watch another video, talk to your professor, take advantage of the great guest speakers that we're all going to have in there, career services. You have to be active and you have to be engaged, but that's not any different than any other type of education. This is not, oh, it's easy, I got my online degree, I'll just kind of turn on the TV kind of thing. It's not like that at all.
All right. Well, thank you. That concludes and wraps up the faculty panel. So thank you all for joining us. I know you've been on this journey with us and are so excited to help us, launch this program next August. So thanks for providing your perspective on what the classroom life would be like. And so I'll bid a farewell to Pietra and Kirsten and Lee, but Sudipta, I'm going to have you hang on for just a minute because you're going to give us a little bit of a demonstration about what the online student experience might look like. And when I say might, we're going to show you a little bit about what our current business analytics online platform looks like on the back end, but know that that is the same platform that we are using as we build the program right now. As we build out the platform, put all the bells and whistles on it now, that is the same program, very similar, that we will be having next August. So Sudipta, I'm going to turn it over to you for screen sharing and to give us a little bit of a demonstration of what life may be like on the asynchronous platform.
Absolutely. We all heard from the wonderful faculty here that they bring in multiple years of experience. And so we at Georgetown and McDonough, we have developed online programs, the MSF program and the MSBA program already. And we provide an engaging platform to the students through the online courses. And so as Shelly mentioned here, generally, we have a combination of asynchronous content and synchronous session or the live session with the faculty and peers. And so I'll give you a demonstration of the online component of the MSBA program, which is just focused on the asynchronous materials. Okay, so the goal of this demo is to just showcase what student experience is going to be like and how they engage with the asynchronous content here with this example that I'm going to show you. So let me share my screen here. Can you all see my screen okay? All right, great. So I'm going to move into a student view. So as a student, you would log on to Canvas, and on in Canvas, you would be able to see your courses that you are basically taking. So this is one of the courses that I teach in the MSBA program, and these are all the asynchronous content within this particular course. So when you log on, you would see a bunch of different tabs to your left, and then generally each of the courses are organized and have a very consistent look and feel to them, so that you start to get used to where I can find things mostly. So we start with announcements, and then you would see, there's the homepage that talks about the course in particular, and then would have some of the key links that the students are looking for every time you are, going into office hours, or if you have a live session, then all the links are provided here, and follow that with, a detailed syllabus that you would see. One of the things you would notice here is it's very clear as to when the assignments or things are due within the course. So you would see next office hours this week, slides for week 6 posted. All of these things are right here. That includes assignments and announcements. And then you would also see the assignment breakdown. And coming down, one of the things that I wanted to show you in the syllabus is that the things that you have to do before let's say before an asynchronous session that we were just talking about, right? That, what is this experience going to be like? You would have to get ready for the synchronous session. So what do you do before session? What do you do after session? So all, that really provides a very, very detailed look on exactly what the students are supposed to do. And then you would see here at the end, there is a course summary that provides students information on when all of the assignments are due, what type of assignments are there in the program, and so on. And so moving forward, everything is organized around the modules here. As you would see, these provide information to the students about getting started, your different types of resources that are available to them, their study teams and whatnot. And then, each of the weeks each of the content per week are actually organized within the modules. So this is week 1 materials, and I'll basically kind of walk you a little bit through this. So as you would see here, we have live sessions, and this tells you about when each of the live sessions are, for example, this particular class has Tuesday evenings. moving back to, and actually what you would do as a student is actually go to next, right? And as you hit next, you would actually go to the next page, which kind of talks about the course overview. And again, here the faculty would, the instructor is going to provide you more information on what this particular course is going to bring forward for the students. And similarly, you may go in and you may see guest speaker introduction. So this particular course basically has some guest speakers that came in and that were interviewed, and that is indicated here. Some of the other things you would see in terms of interactivity is student Q&A mode. This is where the students can actually send out their questions to their peers, to the faculty, and then they can discuss with each other. And so this is one of the ways in which they can do that. You would also notice there are resources here for the students, so different types of tutorials, other kinds of things, and you would see when they are due, week 1, week 2, minutes, so it's very, very detailed. And so when we are teaching online, what Dr. Lee Pinkowitz was telling us is that it made the faculty think about what would make this experience better for the students. And so we are very detailed when we actually teach courses and put in the asynchronous materials there. Some of the other things that you would experience as a student, that our students experience as in the asynchronous materials is, before this week's live session, after this week's live session, what you need to do. And then this is a video of our guest speaker. So we're talking to the guest, a Q&A with the guest speaker, and he talks about what their views are, for example. Similarly, you would go in and here's another guest speaker for this particular class. Then we would have the project description, which the students can read. Here are the synchronous materials and all the recordings. And then you might have a video, which is taught by the instructor. And so, so in this particular video, for example, I'm talking about sample versus population, right? And so, so this basically kind of provides you with some understanding of some kind of the asynchronous content. But there are other kinds of content as well. For example, you went through that video, and then there's a comprehension check. Here in this particular comprehension check, you have to answer the question. The students would have to answer the question. This is ungraded, but this really helps with the learning. And so the students can go in and check whether they understood the material or not. So that's really kind of a great way to check student understanding here. And so it allows you to interact with the material. So for example, here's another one where we're trying to check your understanding. So you can go in and take a look at what does this represent, right? So when we have topics which are a little bit more complicated, you might see that we provide a couple of different ways of interacting with the materials, as you can see here. What else? Let's see. There could be other types of interactivity that you would see in the in the courses, such as this one, where we don't have a video, but we basically kind of talk about different types of variables, for example, in this particular case, by using the by just providing you with that information, just like reading a book online, right? So as you can see, there are a variety of different types of materials that you would find, that can help with the interactivity of the students. There are lots of comprehension checks, as you would see here. Here in this case, for example, in sampling techniques, there's here, the students would basically read this, and then they would select the tabs and look at the advantages and disadvantages. Again, lots of interactivity that you would see with in different ways. In terms of, let's see, in terms of other types of things, there's a poll right here that the students could take, and it talks about no time limit, right? And the students can take this particular survey if they would like. There are other types of, let's see, other types of assignments. For example, here's an assignment. And so The students would go in here at the end of this week, and this is a graded quiz, and they can start taking the quiz. And so again, this is an online quiz, it is timed. We were just kind of talking about that, right? What type of assessments can you have or evaluations can you have? So in this case, this is a graded quiz, there's a due date, then this is timed, it basically talks to you about the percentage. And so, here's what Lee was talking about. We can, we basically provide the application-based questions. And so it really enhances learning much more than if I were to give you an exam and say, tell me what is a median, or write the formula for a variance, or find the variance in this particular example. So it really has helped us engage with the students better and improve learning. And so I am going to stop there, and hopefully this has provided you with some experience in terms of what you're looking at when you would be going into an online environment and do the asynchronous materials. So thank you very much.
Thank you for demoing. I think the takeaway from this is there's a lot of different ways to interact, a lot of different variation in the engagement, and this is the asynchronous part, right? This isn't even the synchronous part where you will get to talk one-on-one with your peers in kind of this Zoom Brady Bunch type of an environment. And so obviously a lot of care and attention has been put into the development of these classes in a way that makes it engaging to learn and easy to access. Like if you want to go back and just click on one section that you missed or one topic area, you're able to do so. So thank you for dimming this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, wonderful. So we've talked a little bit about the academic and faculty experience, the education, but a lot of you are wondering about, well, what does the career aspect look like? What does the program and student services aspect look like? And so I'm pleased to welcome Dean Carrie Pace. She's the Associate Dean of the Program Office. So when you think of, clubs, and when you think of engagement and student activities, and what does that look like? How do you engage with the community? I'm pleased to introduce Carrie. And Carrie, I'll have you introduce yourself, and then I'll share the screen and we'll advance through the slides. So welcome, Carrie.
Thanks, Shelley. Hi, everyone. It is really, really great to join you and to see so many active participants. I am thrilled. We've been working on this program now for a couple of years, and to think that we're actually at this, the launch event is really, really exciting. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. I have been at Georgetown. I actually just celebrated my 25th year last week. So I've been here a long time. I've been at McDonough now for a little over 9 years. So I can attest to what a great community you would be joining. And I would be certainly happy to meet and talk and answer questions for any of you. I am the Associate Dean for the MBA program. So I essentially oversee your experience from the day you sort of start your classes orientation until you graduate. So outside of career, my team manages your academics, your curriculum, your student organizations, co-curricular involvement, leadership, any academic accommodations, any needs that you might have. So we're really sort of here to support you and help you through. So I'm going to go rather quickly, so pardon that, but can you go to the next slide? Thank you. As I know you have already heard from Dean Malaviya earlier in our program, this is the same curriculum. It is not a watered down version. It is same curriculum. It's the same degree. Your diploma says just that you got an MBA, not that you got an online MBA. I personally don't think that matters, but it is important to a lot of people. So I thought it's important to clarify that. One of the ways that we involve, one of the things that's really important to our MBA program is the cohort experience. So all of you would come in, and to start there would be one cohort, which means, you will have some catchy name. We currently have for the full time, it's the Hoya, Saxa, Blue, and Gray cohorts. And for the Flex, it is the Bulldogs and the Hilltops. So we spent some time last week sort of spitballing on what your cohort could be named, and we came up with some interesting ones. So stay tuned for that. So the cohort is really a critical part of your experience, and that is where you will make your lifelong friends, your colleagues. You will work with them throughout the program. Obviously, you have the convenience of these virtual classes. We've talked a little bit about the residencies. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them just in a second from a community building aspect. Go ahead. Thank you. So I don't want to spend too much time going, class by class, but what I would like to highlight here, in particular, everything in green is your core courses. You do have a rigorous and a pretty heavy core curriculum, but you will see the courses in year one. The opening term is your residency number one. So that all of the residencies were intentionally, they were planned and scheduled intentionally where they are, to bring you different elements of community, to introduce you to different things at the right time. So the first one is your structure of global industries, which is where you will work very, very closely with your cohort directly. In year two, also in opening term, you will return to campus and complete the business and policy residency. That one, you're going to sort of expand your scope and start sort of incorporating a lot of DC, a lot of the sort of the local networks into that class. And then finally, at the end of the summer of year two, that is when your global business experience, which is really the highlight of the program. The other thing I wanted to note here are the purple boxes. Those are called intensive learning experiences, ILEs, which is something that we do, which is a bit unique to our program. And it's a really great opportunity to engage in material that you may not get in sort of a standard course format. And it's very intense over a very short time, and you know at the end of the week or possibly 2 weeks you will have earned either 1.5 or 3 credits. So those are a lot of fun and something to look forward to. Next slide. We talked a little bit already about community, but I wanted to highlight how important that community building is. I think it is something that makes Georgetown unique. I think a lot of programs, a lot of schools talk about community. I have yet to see any community that is as strong and as deep and as sincere as the Georgetown and specifically the McDonough community. I'm very proud of it, and I am really looking forward to many of you being able to experience it. So in your residencies, as I sort of mentioned earlier, the first residency is really get to know. You're going to be in Hariri. You're going to work directly with your cohort. We're going to have team building and service opportunities. There will be an end of term event celebration with all of the other incoming students. So you will have a chance there to at least meet some other full-time and some flex students. But the first residency is really about you and your cohort. Fast forward a year, you're returning to campus, and now we want to expand that network a little bit. We want you to take advantage of DC. We want you to engage with other flex students and hopefully flex online students as well, while you are on the campus and the community. So that will be a really nice time to sort of branch out a little bit. And again, we'll have plenty of service, team building, and social activities. And then finally, your third residency is really where you get big. You go out abroad and you do your consulting project, your global business experience, a lot of in-country exploration and experiences. It's really the highlight. Let's go ahead. And then, of course, there are co-curricular activities. fortunately and unfortunately, we had the opportunity during the pandemic to really sort of learn a lot about how to build community, how to make sure our online students were engaged. There were trials and errors, and it is really exciting to see how far we've come with that. From March of 2020 to July of 21, my team supported and executed over 1,000 online events just within those short, within that like 14-month period. So we gained a lot of experience and learned a lot about how to build and support our virtual students. A couple things that I wanted to highlight here is the Student Government Association. We will be electing, you will be electing representatives that will be part of the Student Government Association. We also will have you elect representatives just from the FXO cohort. One will be sort of a direct liaison between your faculty and the program office and really the other administration. And the second is going to be specifically a community engagement rep, is going to work with us, work with our team, and work with other staff and faculty to build that community that is so critical. And then of course, the student organizations. There are over 50 student clubs and student-led organizations at McDonough. Lots and lots and lots of things to choose from. You will have an opportunity to join select student organizations. Some, I will tell you, are more prone, are more set up for virtual and hybrid. Some are a little bit less. For example, the beer tasting, society. It's kind of hard to be part of it if you're not here. But that being said, I do want to highlight sort of what I said, what I have down here at the end. If you are local to the area, then you are absolutely welcome, encouraged. We would love to have you, engage and be part of as much or as little as you would like. So again, it's all about what you want to give, what you want to receive. So we're looking into how our FXOs can be incorporated into our student clubs, what membership options might look like. So, stay tuned for more details on that.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much, Dean Pace. Really appreciate your thoughtful perspective of what the student experience will look like.
Thank you.
All right. So I'd love to now turn it over to our MBA Career Center. So we have two representatives who are joining us today. We have Associate Dean Christine Murray and Director Carrie Kidwell-Slack, who are going to share a little bit over the next full 10 minutes to 8:25 about what the Career Center offerings and your post-MBA experience may look like. So I'll have you both briefly introduce yourself and then I'll share my screen.
Thanks so much, Shelley. Welcome, everyone. It's good to be here with you this evening. As Shelley mentioned, I'm the Associate Dean and Managing Director of the McDonough Career Services, and I just want to punctuate that I'm the newest member of, I'll say I can definitely attest to the fact that it is a community, and Hoyas, helping Hoyas is a real thing. Students helping students, alumni helping students, and alumni helping alumni. That's stood out to me in my short tenure here at McDonough. Prior to McDonough, I worked in a business school and in higher education the last 15 years, and prior to that had a corporate real estate career. So I have a blend of the corporate business environment and the higher education environment. I was once a part-time student, full-time professional, so definitely can relate to the journey that you're about to embark on as you're thinking about this program. Carrie?
Thanks, Christy. Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Kidwell-Slack. I'm the Director of Career Curricula and Communications for McDonough Career Services. Pleasure to be here tonight. I work really closely with students across McDonough to support you in your career goals. So one thing we really pride ourselves on is being able to tailor our services to wherever you are in your journey, whatever your goals are with your MBA. We know it's a big investment for you, and we know career is a large driver. So we want to work with you and make sure that we can help you make it happen.
Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen now, share your wonderful slides. So here we go. Great.
Thanks, Shelley. I'm just going to open it up, and I'd just like to really set the tone for what we're offering to join as part of the community and what we look at in terms of career. So really our mission is to help you strategically advance your career. We realize you come in from a lot of different spaces and backgrounds, and our goal is to help you with your lifelong career success. So our approach with our resources and recruitment partnerships really has you at the center. And our team, which is a team of experts, many of the individuals who work currently as coaches and industry practice leaders have previously worked in industry themselves for several years, sometimes decades. So they lead programming and they build recruitment relationships to benefit you. And ultimately what we do is create and provide the tools and resources that you need to be successful in an ever-evolving career landscape. We know it's changed quite a bit over the last several years, and really all in partnership with you. So it is a customized journey depending on where you want to take it, how you want to get engaged, and how you want to use the resources. So my colleague, Carrie, is going to share with you now some of the unique offerings you can expect when you become part of the Hoya community. And we hope you'll join us in the new FXO online program at McDonough and be part of the career experience where outstanding talent meets exceptional opportunity. And as I mentioned in my introduction, I really just think that there is a special characteristic about the community with the Hoyas helping Hoyas that I have sensed, and Carrie will take you through some of the resources to allow you to get to know what we have in store for you.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Shelley, next slide, thank you. So we really have three pillars in the Career Center that we try to focus our work on. The first is what we call our ongoing career curricula. This begins the summer before you even begin your classes. We are jumping right in with the career work. So through the career curricula, we start with your story because we know each of you is coming into McDonough with your own unique qualifications and backgrounds and experiences. So we help you articulate those stories and tell them in a way that's going to be compelling to recruiters. We then think about what are your goals with your MBA and help research different industries and functions, even geographies. Where do you want to go physically, as well as thinking about your workplace in the future? What are some of the strengths that you bring to that work? And what's the areas that you know you'll need to do some skill building over the next couple of years? The career curriculum continues for you in the summertime. We get you to the point of having an MBA resume before, again, you begin your classes. We think it's really important to have that foundation as you start out on your MBA journey. So whenever somebody comes across your path that you think, hey, you know, they'd be a good person to have in my Rolodex or to know about in my network, you have a resume ready to go to share with them. And that becomes a living document that we continue to help you evolve and grow over time. The career curriculum for Flex students continues throughout your time at McDonough. So we have a series of courses that we share with you. We've done a lot of great work setting up this material to be both asynchronous and live. So we have the blend that you're seeing in your academics, you're also going to see in career to make sure that you have all this content being delivered to you when you need it in the format that you need it. So talking about things like personal branding, networking, how to use LinkedIn, interviewing skills, what does that look like to do recruiting in person versus virtually? Thinking about a recruitment strategy, how does that happen? As Carrie mentioned, you're getting the McDonough MBA degree. It's going to look no different to anyone on your transcript. It's going to look no different to recruiters. You're going to have the same access to employers, to the tools that we offer to all of our other students as well. And that curriculum is there to support you all along the way. Then our career coaching and your personalized job search framework. This is something, again, we take a lot of time and effort and pride in, making sure that we're respecting each student's qualifications and backgrounds and working with you in a personalized fashion to make sure that you are achieving your goals. That might be pivoting in terms of your industry or your function, switching into something new. It could be advancing your career, thinking about what you want to do with your current employer and really expanding on your career. It could even be thinking about a startup or an entrepreneurial venture, helping you accomplish those goals. Whatever it is, again, we're going to help you build that career portfolio so you have everything that you need to be successful to make that move. And then finally, our industry and function expertise. As Christy mentioned, all of our career coaches have wide industry experience coming from different sectors across the business world. And they bring that to bear when it comes to the coaching that they do with you. So again, whatever your goal is, we have the resources and the tools to help you achieve that. We also have a wide variety of career clubs, many of which will be available to you, as Carrie Pace mentioned. So you can, again, engage with those clubs, do that networking so you can take advantage of knowing about the alumni, the employers, all the resources that are out there for you. Next slide. To add a little more color to this, this is our kind of what we see as the career development timeline for a Flex Online student. In that first year, you're going to have the summer webinar series that we talked about, tackle that first job search course, talking about personal branding and networking, and you'll get access to our career coaches right off the bat. So that might be if you're thinking about changing jobs in the middle of the program, we can be there to support you. We'll also think about career advancement. Maybe you've taken some classes and thinking, hey, now is the time to make a move within my current employer. We can help you work through that process as well. And you'll have the career clubs available to you, and what we call our One McDonough programming. So this spans across all programs at McDonough, MBA, MSBA, MIM, and it's a fantastic opportunity for students to be able to network across programs and get to know more students, building your network, more opportunity. And we focus on real concrete skills that students can use to develop your career portfolio and the skills you need to be successful in recruiting. You can see at the bottom some of the recent programming that we've had in this One McDonough series. As you move into year 2, again, focusing on those career courses, strategic communication, interviewing skills, thinking about recruitment strategy. This is all setting you up to get prepared for your final year, potentially year 3, but with the Flex, you have some variability there, I know. So you are ready to jump right in with all the other students who will be graduating in that next year to engage in post-MBA recruiting. We also offer a series of industry open houses for you in that second year. So you can get to know what do the recruitment timelines look like for finance versus consulting versus tech, and get the familiarity you need with those. Again, still have that access to coaches. And then it's year 3, things really kick into high gear. So you have access to all the full-time post-MBA recruitment tools that we offer all of our students, full access to our coaches to do case preparation, mock interviews, review your cover letters, resumes, and really hone in on that job search strategy that you're going to need. We have a wide variety of employer events and networking events, many of which are already virtual. Employers really made that pivot in the last 2 years with the pandemic, and it's to students' advantage. We've seen about a 25% increase in the number of employers coming to campus to host events, and many of those you'll be able to participate in online. And again, those career clubs and the One McDonough programming continuing to supplement your whole journey. Okay, next slide. So a couple of examples of Flex students who have recently taken advantage of the career offerings that we have at McDonough and what they've been able to do. So Hussein, I think, is a great example of a pivoter. He made a pretty big move. He was an economist for the federal government, but had his heart set on moving into the automotive industry. He came from Michigan and he was really passionate about cars. And he said, this is what I want to do with my MBA. And he focused on it. He stayed in touch with the curriculum through his first 2 years, focusing on those fundamental career skills, building his resume, his interview portfolio, doing some networking with alums all along the way. And so by his final year, he was ready. So he started applying to different leadership development programs and landed on a great offer with Forward. It was his dream job, and he's doing a great job with them right now. So a big move, but he made it happen because of his focus and his partnership with our Career Center. Next slide. And then another example is Yasi. She's what we call a career advancer. So she was very happy with her employer coming into her MBA, but wanted to make some moves, move up the organization, get more responsibility, more leadership. So she really engaged in leadership on campus. She became the Flex president for Student Government Association and leveraged the opportunities that she had within McDonough to take that back to her workplace. So you can see she ascended that corporate ladder pretty quickly, starting as a senior associate in the first year of a Flex program, being promoted to a manager, and upon graduation was promoted to a senior manager. And she's doing some great work in the consulting field now. All right, next slide. Finally, just a few statistics I wanted to highlight for you. This is from our most recent, the class of 2021 career outcomes. The thing I want to highlight in this top left here is kind of the movement that we see for our Flex students. So we see a lot of students coming in, working in the nonprofit, finance and government sectors, and they want to make a move into the private sector. And we see that coming to fruition. So the post-MBA top 3 are finance, consulting, and tech. Again, big moves from these students moving from the nonprofits, the government side of things, pre-MBA, into the private sector post-MBA. You see some top employers over the right-hand side. This is a mix of both people who recruited newly out of their MBA, as well as some employers who have students who are taking classes concurrently while being employed. And then finally at the bottom, again, just more highlighting that mobility that I think the Flex MBA really provides our students. Our students are taking advantage of the career services to make changes in company, changes in job title, changes in function, and even changes in industry. And all that can be possible during your time at McDonough.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dean Murray and Carrie. We really appreciate you providing a little bit of an overview of what the ROI would be like for a Flex MBA, and that, yes, they're coming and doing classes, but ultimately we're preparing them for an elevation in their career. You know, maybe not a huge career switch, but definitely an elevation in their current industry or maybe current function, and providing them the skills and resources through our great McDonough Career Center. So thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Great. So we move into the last portion of the evening, which is a current student chat. So obviously we don't have Flex Online students because the program is starting next August. But what we do have are two great current Flex students who have taken some online classes, right? Because even in our current Flex program, there have been some online classes, some hybrid classes. Obviously, we were online for the pandemic as well a few years ago. And so they're here to speak about their experience really of doing a part-time MBA, their experience with kind of online learning, the value of that. And so we'll have a little chat over the next 20 minutes or so. I'm going to reserve the last 10 minutes, starting about 8:50 to 9, just for Q&A about anything and everything, but certainly from the students as well. So welcome, Ananya and Billy. Thanks for joining us this evening. So if both of you could just introduce yourself, share about kind of where you're working now, and perhaps maybe where you were working pre-MBA, if it was different, and what you hope to do with your MBA. So kind of just a chronological pre, current, post MBA kind of employment introduction. So Ananya, you're first on my screen, and then we'll move to Billy.
Sounds good. I was actually about to text Billy to go first. No, I'm kidding. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ananya Reddy. I am currently a FX23 Hilltop. I guess I'll go into my whole journey about Georgetown, but basically, I have been in the government sector for the last 10 years. I went from CIA to State Department, and I've just been working in that area. And so my goal when I found out about the Georgetown MBA program and when I was researching MBA programs was government is 10 years behind. I want to move somewhere where I can meet people that are from the industry and just learn, learn, and then two, kind of pivot after graduation. And so that was my pre and why I wanted to go into Georgetown. And within Georgetown, I took a lot of classes, learned a lot about the industries I hope to go into and post. I am currently in the recruitment process, so happy to answer anything about recruitment if you guys have any questions. The Career Center has been amazing so far, and so shout out to them on this entire journey. And the goal is to pivot using my Georgetown MBA into something that is either consulting or product management of some sort.
Yeah, great, awesome. Thanks so much, Ananya. Billy.
Cool. Hi, I'm Billy Quinn. I am actually a pilot in the Navy. So I have about 6 months left, if you excuse the crummy mustache. It's not my fault. Previous to this, I was a pilot in the Navy flying, and then I got sent to DC to work for Congress. While I was there, I wanted to do something that essentially would make me more employable in the future. Therefore, I picked Georgetown. I picked it for a couple reasons. It was local, which was great. This was before the pandemic, but really what got me was the global focus. So my whole career, I've worked while flying. I've done different international exchanges, and then I worked foreign affairs in Congress. What I kind of came to the realization was I don't think too many jobs will pay me very well to do that outside of a think tank. So I really wanted to make myself more employable. And what I really liked about Georgetown was they took that global experience seriously and showed me how to integrate that into an MBA program where I could be more employable. I am leaving the military in 6 months, and they're being pretty helpful with me. And I think I'm trending towards going into consulting. But for someone who has just been in the military, it's a wild world. And one of the benefits to the Flex program and my peers really was hearing about all of the jobs that are out there, and translating some of those experiences into ways that make me more employable in the future.
Great.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Billy. So you touched a little bit on kind of why Georgetown. Ananya, if you could hit on why Georgetown. Did you consider other programs? Like, kind of what were you thinking? What was the ultimate thing that made you decide?
Yeah, so I was at a weird point in my life where it was 2020, it was COVID, and I was like, okay, what do I do with all this time on my hands? And like, what is the next step in my career? So when I was seriously thinking about those things, it was, all right, I wanted to do my MBA for a long time. I'm going to use this time to go look at things, see what's out there. I looked at a couple, but for me, Billy touched on this a little bit. For me, a lot of it was local. I wanted to do something where I didn't want to move. And the Flex program itself was, when I was researching at a lot of places, it was Flex is a completely separate community, in person is a completely separate community. At Georgetown, it didn't matter whether you were a Flex student or whether you were a full-time student. And I loved that so much. I liked being able to, one, meet full-time students if I wanted to do a class during the day. And I liked that there was no separation. Like, yes, we were in cohorts and I love that cohort aspect, but it wasn't like I was limited in my choices of if I'm evening, I'm only evening. And if I'm full-time, and I'm only full-time. And so I loved that Georgetown treated us like a one community. And that was honestly that was the reason where I was like, all right, Georgetown sees everyone as equal. And I really, really appreciate that. And then obviously the global business experience is something that Georgetown I think is very unique in. And I liked the idea of going to work with a company for a whole summer and then going to see them in person and presenting to them as well. So those were the two big draws as to why I chose Georgetown.
Great. And why did you both choose a part-time working professionals program versus, stopping your job and going full-time in person? So what was the choice for part-time?
Well, at least for me, you kind of can't stop being in the active duty military. But I did have to make a decision. A lot of my peers actually wait until they're done with the military and get their MBA after. And I was really attracted to the part-time program simply because I wanted to hit the ground running. At least in my particular situation, we come out as like 32-year-olds. And I didn't want another 2 years of career growth and salary growth to pass me by. So I really wanted to be able to be employable as soon as I was done with the military. And really, it was awesome because not many programs can allow you to be full-time active duty and then still go to class afterwards. So I loved every part of it.
Yeah, 100% for me, it was money. When you have a paycheck that has been consistent over the last 8 years or so, it's really hard to give that up. And for me, it's also like I'm at the point in my life where I personally don't see myself being a full-time student. I like the idea of doing school. And I mean, it's chaotic, but it's still kind of fun trying to manage all those aspects as well.
So let me follow up on what you just said. It's kind of the chaotic, trying to manage all of it. So, you all are working full-time, you're going to class, school, you're probably trying to get involved in the community a little bit. You have your personal lives. Like, how do you manage it all?
I will say for me, it was an active choice for me to go to Georgetown and commit, the 2.5, 3 years of my life. And so when I committed to it, I want to do as many things Georgetown as possible. And so all of my other, like my family and my other friends, I kind of told them like, hey, I'm doing this program. This is kind of going to be my priority. And I want to invest in this. As much money as you invest in this, you also want to make sure you are building relationships, and you will only get what you put in. And so for me, it was an intentional choice of making sure I made the time to do as much Georgetown as possible.
Yeah, I don't really have too much to add to that other than another plug. My cohort is awesome. So we kind of use each other to motivate each other. When we first started, it was, everyone, there were so many restrictions in DC about what you could do. You couldn't really meet up, and everyone really rallied around each other online. And that sense of community helps you keep going and also holds you accountable to each other. So I thought that was a huge aspect. of helping. I had someone watch my dog from my cohort one time, which was like awesome. So
that's great. Definitely a big bond in the community. So both of you took some online classes. You were recommended by your professors. So kudos, you must have done well in their classes. Can you describe what those online classes were? And the students in this audience are thinking about an online program. So what can you imagine the benefits of doing an entire online degree? What can you imagine those benefits could be based on your experience of having taken an online class?
So I think for Billy and myself, we were both in the 2020-2021 online because everything was COVID. And so for me personally, I totally get the draw of going into a fully online program because you're not really commuting. You don't really have the stress of going into driving in, figuring all that out. I also think there was a lot more intentionality over Zoom at that time too. So a lot of people were participating. It didn't feel like I was in a Zoom class, to be honest. It always felt like I was engaged. There were also breaks during class, so you weren't just sitting and listening for 2.5, 3 hours, right? Like you had your breaks, you had the breakout sessions. And so I still felt like I was developing connections with my cohort during some of those moments.
Yeah, I would say it's easily, you mentioned a chaotic schedule. But getting rid of however much commute time pays leaps and bounds. So I remember I could get off of work, walk my dog, cook my dinner, and then go to an online class. And some of the in-person ones, I had to grab dinner as soon as I got to the building or anything like that. Or I'd have a friend look after my dog. So there was a lot of easierness about it. And again, we did have the cohort aspect that kept everyone engaged, and the quality was still really good. So we were, my whole cohort had Slack, and we were constantly talking to each other in our different groups, and that community and that bond really set the tone. I mean, they're great.
So what would you recommend to students as the way to get the best out of the online experience? If they're coming into a class, right, it's going to be, let's say, 40 people in the cohort, they're meeting their professor online. Certainly they will have done an in-person residency at the kickoff, so they will have gotten to meet people initially in person for a week in DC, and then they'll move to online classes for the fall and spring. How should they get the most out of the cohort? If they want to achieve a great grade in the class, like what are some things to just kind of think about to get the most out of that experience?
I think for me, or I guess for anyone who's trying to do this program, one, definitely have intention. Like this is going to be a long 3 years if you're going to not invest the time and invest yourself into it. In terms of I guess the second half of that question is, it's easy to get disengaged when you have your phone in front of you and you have your work emails in front of you, right? Like it's really easy to try and attempt to multitask. And I would say the best way to get that great grade or to get that engagement with your cohort is to not multitask on those other things and just put your focus behind the one thing during that class time.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple things, at least in my personal experience, I didn't know anything about business. So everything was new to me and interesting. But Ananya's right in that it really is easy to get distracted online. So if you have some self-discipline, and I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse here, but again, my cohort really would help with that, because we would constantly be talking about what we were doing, what the plans were, what was happening in the class while all of it was going on. And we would really hold each other pretty accountable, and it provided positive feedback. And we had such a good relationship with each other that, if someone was not paying attention, we would kind of call it out in a way. So I think the cohort is key to success again.
Since you are balancing so much, how have you maybe taken time to get involved outside of the classroom, right? You're not going to have as much involvement as a full-time student, certainly. And online students, they will have access to coming on campus should they want to, but otherwise, we'll need to build community online. So, but how have you decided to engage in the MBA experience outside of the classroom?
So in the first year, when we were trying to adjust of like, okay, well, it's COVID, can't really do anything in person, right? A lot of my cohort, we would try to do like coffee dates on Saturdays where we just like sit on Zoom and like just get to know each other. Another easy way to do that is you have stats homework that is due every week. So you might as well work on stats homework together Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings. Or if like econ is really hard, like go over notes together. And so it kind of builds that engagement. And then you end up not even talking about school half the time. Like you talk about your personal life or, you know, something that's you and not school. And so then that easily transitioned into like whoever was in town or whoever lived in Arlington, it would be like, hey, let's meet up. You're literally 2 blocks down. I know with online, it's a little bit harder, but I think that goes into the intentionality of it, right? Like if there's only 40 or 50 people in this online flex program, like support one another because that's really how you're going to get through it. You're not going to get through it any other way. Like I'm pretty sure there was like 5 people in my cohort where there were times where, you know, things get really hard, but they're the ones that remind you like, we're here for a reason. We're in it together. And it sounds really corny, but it does work.
So none of you may have done coffee days, but we did happy hours, which tends to get conversation flowing a lot more. And it feels really lame at first online to just be slowly drinking a cocktail, but after 2 or 3, it gets real talkative. So that was definitely a huge part of the online experience. And then everyone would get involved. I mean, we were still online, but I was still in student government. We would have, you know, the tabletop games club would have an online portion where we'd play Jackbox, and all of it, you know, at first seems a little bit hesitant, like, hey, what are we doing? We're online, but as soon as you mesh, it really doesn't matter, and it becomes a lot of fun, and you really do learn a lot about each other. And then additionally, because my experience with Georgetown is everyone had so many different backgrounds, and everyone's trying to do something different in their career. Some people, as we said, are staying in one, or a lot of people in the Flex and online community are changing careers or looking for a way to change careers. So talking to each other about their background and getting that information about their career leads to a lot of good conversations and a lot of good bonding, in my opinion.
I want to touch on what you just said a little bit more, and that is kind of that career experience. So both of you are graduating soon. Both of you are kind of making kind of a little bit of shifts. And so, you know, how has the Career Center been helpful from a coaching perspective, from an alumni connection perspective? You know, yeah, how has that been helpful for you in your switch?
At least I can speak to this. So translating my resume, I was a pilot, and then I did this weird program that no one's ever heard of. And I know there's a lot of veterans in Georgetown's program, and that ends up being one of the most difficult things, is to try to translate 10 different jobs that you have in the military to something that looks remotely close to a job that you want to be employed at. And it has been incredibly helpful. I think my resume has undergone 20 different revisions from, you know, I have anything from 1 page to I had something that was like 3 pages that just looked terrible. So that was definitely the biggest aspect for me. And then there, you know, the connections are the connections. So it's kind of why you go to business school, is to gain connections in different companies, and that being able to network just through someone that you know.
Great. Definitely resumes were the biggest thing. I think Billy and I both being from like the government and federal aspect of things, you kind of forget like what the real world, like what they're looking for, what kind of, how bullets should be written, how, like what kind of metrics are they looking for, right? So it's like preparing you on how to think. And then beyond that, it's the cover letters. Like some positions require cover letters, and I hadn't done one in 8 years. And so when I had to do one for some of these jobs, Career Center was critical to that. They gave me different formulas to use, different templates that I could leverage for companies like EY. And then it was case prepping. Again, these are terms that if you have been out of undergrad for 5+ years, you forget some of these skills. And so understanding how to approach a case prep, how to conduct yourself, like if you get stressed, like what are different tactics you can use. So I would say those are some of the big benefits of the Career Center. And then alongside the Career Center, it's the alumni network that is critical. Like we have so many events that are catered to both Flex and to in person, whatever it is you decide to choose, where if you want to meet alumni from places like Amazon, places like Deloitte, there's so many opportunities to do that. And so the fact that the Career Center facilitates a lot of that, it also just makes it a lot easier for you. So you don't have to cold call. You can just be like, hey, I met you at this event. Let's connect. I want to hear about some opportunities that are maybe in your area. So those are all major bonuses.
Perfect. And I'm going to ask a kind of a final question before I open it up to questions from the student audience. So if you do have some questions of the students, please feel free, to start typing them in, and we'll take those. You all mentioned your background, so kind of a little bit of government, Ananya, military, Billy. I think one of the beauties of the MBA classroom that's maybe different than like a specialized master's is that people come from like 15 different industries. They come from all over, and that kind of creates this great puzzle of skills and experiences that add to the breadth of the classroom. So can you talk about some of the industry backgrounds, without obviously naming names or confident, but like industry backgrounds and previous experiences of some of your classmates that's really added to the richness of your classroom conversation?
Yeah, so a couple things come to mind. It's really great to have your cohort members with an accounting background while you're in accounting. At least it's a new language for me, so I appreciated that. But as I came into my MBA, I truly did not know what I wanted to do, or what direction I wanted to go. I kind of just thought, hey, I'd like to get paid more. And having that experience, because we had accountants, we had general managers, we had consultants, we had every business that you can, healthcare, that you can think of. And as you take different electives, you meet more and more backgrounds, and having that sounding board to talk to, like I truly didn't know what a consultant did every day. I didn't know what a lot of these people did every day. So being able to talk to my friends now and getting the inside information, both good and bad, was very helpful in deciding how I want to approach my future.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to Billy, like had all the different flavors of consulting you can think of. Then there were people that were specifically doing startups. There were CPAs, there were PharmDs also in there, right? So it's like, you already have a master's, like, why are you doing another one? This is crazy. But like, also like totally get it, right? They want to excel in their career. And so for me, getting exposure to them as human beings, to their backgrounds, it was cool because I understood the way that they were thinking and how they were approaching different problems. And it was definitely in ways that I would not. And so that was critical to me, right? Like moving forward, like I will always think of, can't say names, but person A, of like, oh, I would have approached it like person A did. And so in some ways, like when I'm at work, I used to think of person A and I was like, oh, I remember how you would write emails. I really appreciated it. So I'm going to use that moving forward in my job.
Awesome. Thank you. So I have a private question that came in about the application process. So just to kind of give you all a refresher, I don't know which round you all applied in, but we've passed round 1 and round 2 is January 5th. And so do you have any advice for these students on the application process? What was stressful? Any tips and tricks that you all had as you applied?
Oh, is the video interview still a part of it?
It is.
That stressed me out a lot.
I hope it didn't stress you out.
I ended up, on my knees to get the right camera angle, in a suit in my apartment, with a teleprompter. So I had rehearsed that speech quite a few times and taken several takes of it. But that was definitely what I remember as the most stressful part. And then I actually enjoyed writing the essays. But aside from the video interview, definitely stuck out to me.
How many times do you think you recorded the video essay before?
Maybe 30. I'm like I've always considered myself a pretty decent public speaker, and that one.
Well, obviously you did well because you're here. So great. What about for you, Ananya?
The video essay for me as well.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't stressful. It was just different because, it's really easy to write and it's really easy to showcase all of that. But when I have to be in front of a video, clearly I'm not an actor or actress that cannot remember my lines. And so definitely did up to 25 takes. I would say my advice is don't take the video essay too seriously. Like all they want to know, they just want to know about you and like what you dislike. And, just, I would say don't take it too seriously. I definitely was like, okay, what does Georgetown want to know about me? Like, how can I game the system? Which like, they just want to know who you are as a human being. So I would say that's it.
Great. And to elaborate on that, one of the reasons we do the video essay is that when you do your evaluative interview, you are only interviewing with one person. It could be a member of the admissions staff or a student or alum. So only one person gets to interview you. And there's an entire admissions committee that's reviewing your application. And so the video essay, the entire admissions committee gets to see you and see how you present and your value proposition. And yes, while you may have recorded it 25 or 30 times, you ultimately got to a product that you were very happy with, right? With an evaluative interview, you may walk in, we've all had those days where you nail the interview, you think you really connected with the interviewer, and then we've all had those times where you walk away from the interview saying, wow, that wasn't my best, or I didn't have a good day, I don't feel like I connected with the interviewer. So this is kind of your second interview, if you want to say, but we allow you to really control it. And we love seeing what you all offer. So thanks. I'm sorry it stressed you out. We loved watching them, but it is a great aspect of the application. So I see one more question in here, which is, I have my interview next Friday, which I'm excited about. So congrats. Great. Any tips for this person who has their evaluative interview next Friday?
I actually did student interviews, so I would just say be confident and be yourself and have a conversation. It's not that I don't think I'm that scary. I don't think anyone else that interviewed, at least on the student side, was scary. Just confidence in yourself and put yourself forward. That's really it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I also did student interviews as well. And I would say same thing, be confident, definitely have examples, like you don't need to memorize every single example, but depending on if it's in person or if it's over Zoom, just take notes down for yourself so that you can still continue to have that confidence. If it is over Zoom, make sure you have a stable internet connection because that just makes everything a whole lot easier.
Great. And so yes, the options are you can do a virtual interview. We are offering on-campus interviews now. We probably weren't when y'all were interviewing actually because we were in 2020, but you can come on campus interviews, you can do a virtual interview, and we were traveling to other cities as well for in-city interviews. All right. Well, I'm going to open it now for questions that anyone may have of Dean Malaviya, myself, Dean Murray, the two students over the next few minutes. So if you have any questions, I see one that was asked earlier was about, the Flex MBA class profile. What will the first cohort look like? So, we're aiming for a cohort of around 40 students, right? We've been excited to see a good dozens of students who have already started an application and a good handful that submitted in round one. And so we know that round 2, 3, and 4 are typically the largest rounds for in-person students. So we're expecting about a 40-person cohort for this incoming class. So we'll see. In terms of the profile, I think one of the benefits of it being online is that with the Flex MBA in person, it's most people within the DMV area, right? You really kind of have to live within commuting distance of campus for the in-person program. For the online program, you could be outside of the DMV area. So we are going to attract people from different cities, different areas, which is going to bring diversity in terms of breadth of experience. So we're excited at what it looks like, but in terms of academic profile, entrance requirements, all of that will be the same caliber of students that we're looking for in our MBAs. All right, here's another question. Are there students who have children? My daughter is about 3 months old, and I would love to hear about the experience of student parents. So could either of you speak to that? And I also am certainly happy to speak to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I had several classmates that have some young children and some that even have older children. And I think that was one of the beauty of the Flex part. And, we would sometimes hear kids over Zoom, but it was so common because, people have children, they're later in their life. I don't have that experience myself, but I know several of my friends work through it fine.
Then there were also a lot of students who did have children like first year, second year into the program too. And so that was really cool because then you got to see really cute baby pictures during breaks, and that's always fun.
So I'll share my experience. I mean, honestly, one of the reasons why I almost didn't apply to the executive MBA here at Georgetown is because I had a 4-year-old at the time. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I can handle this. Also, I didn't know if there would be, was I doing a disservice to my son, Noah, who's 10 already now. I would say you have to have a support network. So whether that's a partner or parents or, a sitter or someone that you're going to be able to rely on, to help you juggle it all. But you can make it work. If your 3-month-old is so small, what I did on the weekends was I put my son down for his nap for a good 2 to 3 hours for his nap. I studied. I had a kind of a conversation with my group mates in my class where we were going to do group work after 8 p.m. and they were okay with that, right? I was going to put my son to bed at 8 p.m. and then we were going to hop on Zoom calls for our group work. So I think you'll notice that everyone has something in their life, whether it's a child, whether it's helping siblings or aging parents, whether it's an 80-hour-a-week job. People all have commitments, but your teammates realize that and they're willing to work around it. I will say we had a lot of takeout food and I probably didn't do laundry as much as I normally would have, but that's okay. It'll get done after you graduate. But yeah, there are definitely, I think one year, Prashant, I remember there was one year where we had 30 babies born in the program. I remember that number stands out to me because I repeat it a lot. So definitely you won't be alone and you'll have your cohort mates that will support you. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Prashant, I have one final slide, but I'd love to turn it over to you to a final advice and excitement on this launch of the program.
I think we just got a question come in.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Oh, you mentioned your experience was in government, was 10 years behind industry and use of technology. Would an MBA still be valuable for someone with a lot of industry finance experience looking in to move into the kind of the government? So maybe Ananya, I'm assuming this question is directed to you.
100%. An MBA is always valuable because it's teaching you how to think in a different way and apply all the existing knowledge you have in different aspects that you're not familiar with. And so I would say 100%. I don't want to bash government. It is 10 years behind, but they are moving forward. It's just, compared to industry, no one is going to be at the forefront like Amazon and Google. So that's why I say that. But 100% MBA would be valuable, especially if you're looking into move to those places, because places like CIA and FBI just historically don't have a lot of MBAs, and they don't have a person that can hybridly think like an MBA and also have their other backgrounds as an accountant or something else as well. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yep, great. Here's a
and
question.
we also have, firms like the FBI come to campus to recruit our students. So we have a direct relationship with them. To answer the other question that Caitlin just asked about ILEs, for the Flex Online students, we will offer a smaller portfolio of ILEs to begin with online. So you are most welcome to take those. But if you're able to come to campus, our in-person ILEs will be available to you as well.
Here's one more question. I'm currently in technology consulting, the Big Four, looking to move to strategy consulting. Are there strategy consulting groups or clubs or other ways to prep to connect to start a strategy consulting career? So Dean Marie, I'd love for you to answer that.
Absolutely. So there is a very active student organization for consulting, and they, in partnership with the Career Center, put on various consulting career days. And also we bring in external experts to help students prep with casing, as well as we have those casing resources on the Career Center team, as well as in the student organization. So definitely plenty of opportunities to practice and become familiar with preparing to start a consulting career.
Great. All right, so Dean Malaviya, final quick thoughts, and I'll share the final closing screen.
Sure, yeah, no, just wanted to reiterate what I hope you took away from today's session. We are intentional in our design of the Flex Online program. This is not a simple add-on, let's just do something online, but a lot of thought has gone into it. I hope you saw from the faculty and from the design of the platform that your student experience is front and center to this design. And there are many aspects of the technology that will actually make for a much more rigorous and much more enjoyable, and also a much more fulfilling student experience in this environment. We are obviously trying to balance your in-person experience with your classmates, with your peers, with the flexibility that the online program is going to provide you. Hopefully, this balance that we are striking is the balance that aligns well with your work-life demands, and therefore, the Flex Online program would be the appropriate program for you. If you desire some other kind of balance where you are more willing to spend time being on campus, of course, the regular Flex program is always there. It will remain the pillar of our part-time MBA as we continue to build and grow our Flex Online program. But beyond that, any other questions you have, we are more than happy to answer them and help you understand what is the best next step for you in your life. Wherever it might take you, all the very best to all of you.
Great. Thank you. And I will share kind of the two closing slides here, which are, kind of next steps. So if you're interested in learning more or you're in the application process, our next application deadline is January 5th. You would find out March 21st if you were admitted. Most people in the part-time programs, in working professionals programs, apply in the round 2 through 4 deadlines. Those are the most popular. The application components obviously are listed on the left. We have application webinars that will go through all of these components in detail. So I definitely encourage you to attend those. They're online. We're happy to answer any questions as we go through those in the online webinar. And then if you're enticed to come on campus and kind of see our community a little bit more, maybe take a sample MBA class, you want to spend a little bit more time, I welcome you and invite you on Saturday, November 5th. To our Flex Preview Day. So I'll just give you a little bit of the campus experience if you're outside of DC or even inside of DC. I share this final picture because every time I see it, it brings me joy. And it is truly the power of the Georgetown network. These are our alumni, you see our deans, you see Prashant there on the right. But you, as part of the FXO cohort, will become a part of this phenomenal decade-long Georgetown MBA cohort. They will be your alumni as well. They're excited for you. They're cheering for you. If you have any questions, reach out to us at the contact information on the left or social media, connect with us. But we wish you the best of luck and thanks for joining us this evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you, Billy and Ananya and Christine.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Christy.
Thank you. Good night.
Well, good night.